Hey friends, this is
This
Aldridge
and
and
Tara, and today we're going to be reading the Trickster story called The Tortoise and the Feast in the Sky.
it is
And
a West African story from Nigeria.
yeah, specifically Igbo.
So yes, here's the story.
One season, the birds of the forest received wonderful news. A message came from the sky spirit, announcing that a great feast would be held above the clouds. The invitation was filled with promises of heavenly food, fine dishes, and drinks sweeter than palm wine. Only the birds were invited, for they alone possessed the gift of flight. Tortoise listened carefully when the birds spoke of their plans. His mouth watered as he imagined the feast. His greedy heart could not bear to be left behind. With cunning words, he approached the birds. Good friends, said Tortoise, bowing politely, I have shared many moments with you on the earth. Will you leave me behind when such marvelous feast awaits in the sky? Lend me just a few of your feathers, with each feather tied together. I can make wings strong enough to fly beside you. The birds exchanged worried glances. They knew of Tortoise's cunning ways, but his voice dripped with charm and flattery. At least they agreed. Each plucked one feather and handed it to him carefully. Tortoise tied them together until he had two broad wings. With a flap and a laugh, he lifted off the ground and joined them in the air. The journey was long, but the feast above the clouds was worth it. When they reached the sky, a grand table stretched as far as the eye could see. Bowls, bowls, over, bowls overflowed with yam pottage, golden maize streamed from woven baskets, freshly roasted meat gave off rich scents, and pots of palm wine shimmered like the morning dew. The birds cheered with excitement. Just then, the sky spirit appeared and welcomed the guest. What name shall I serve to you? He asked kindly.
Tortoise's eyes gleamed with mischief. He stepped forward and said, In my people's land, it is our custom that when we attend a feast, each guest takes a new name. Today, my name shall be all of you. Remember, everything served to all of you belongs to everyone. The sky spirit agreed and began to serve. Plate after plate was set down before Tortoise. Each time he spread his arms and declared loudly, This belongs to all of you. That is me. He devoured every dish while the birds sat in silence. He drank all the palm wine, licked the oil from his fingers, and laughed with satisfaction. The birds realized they had been tricked. Anger filled their hearts, but they kept quiet until the feast ended. When it was time to return to earth, they returned to Tortoise one by one. You are clever enough to eat alone, said the first bird. Then you must be clever enough to return alone. Plucked back their feathers, each taking what they had lent. Soon Tortoise stood bare, his heavy body without wings. The birds flapped away, leaving him stranded among the clouds. Fear gripped him. He looked down at the earth, far below, and called out desperately to his wife. Wife, quickly, gather all the soft things in our home, mats, cloth, and pillows, and spread them on the ground. I will jump, and they will save me from harm. His wife obeyed at once, but the neighbors who had heard of his greedy trick gathered around. They did not want his selfishness to go unpunished. So instead of soft mats, they spread out pounding stones, broken pots, and sharp sticks. At last, Tortoise closed his eyes and leapt from the sky. Down, 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 down he fell, until he landed with a terrible crash. His shell shattered into many pieces. His wife ran to him and wept. Patiently, she picked up the broken pieces and mended them, yet the cracks never disappeared. From that day to this, Tortoise has carried the marks of his greed upon his back. His shell is lined with cracks, a reminder to all that selfishness brings pain and downfall. Wow, guys, what an interesting story. I'm very inspired.
I think that was a really compelling story. What do you think, Aldridge?
I think that I think the story was really interesting and that
Yeah.
kids could like really learn from it.
Yeah, like I feel it's a very good warning about being greedy and selfish and stealing
Yeah.
because if the turtle had just been shared like the birds did share with him, he wouldn't have ended
Yeah.
up in the situation he was where he had to fall down from the heavens. And it's very interesting because it connects to West African culture, specifically the ones in Nigeria, like Igbo and Yoruba, because that's where
Yeah.
the story originates from. Like in that culture, it's very it's like this, you have to respect your elders, respect people. Like if something you do something for someone, you have to do for them. Like kindness is key pretty much,
Yeah.
because as soon as people spot you, Kindness is key, especially like sharing, because I feel like it teaches from a young age when these stories are told and passed down by word of mouth. It teaches like basically like just good values of sharing,
Exactly, like
especially
collectivism, all
yeah,
that.
not being greedy as well because him being greedy led to all of this.
Like it led to nowhere.
Yeah, like it gave him the worst consequences imaginable because his shell got cracked. Like,
Hmm.
because especially young kids, they don't really understand certain concepts when you tell it to them. So I feel like instilling those values when they're young is like a good like it's a good thing to teach kids young to like
Yup.
be kind, have good moral values,
Yeah,
share, not be
exactly.
greedy. Yeah, I'll pass it over to Aldridge. What do you think?
I think like the story, it's also kind of like telling of our society because when if you're like selfish, like people will not like mess with you. Like they will not want to be your friend. Nobody's gonna like you. Like if you're selfish and greedy like that, yeah, you'll be like excluded, I guess. And also, this story kind of like reminds me of like karma from Buddhism. Like in Buddhism, if you're like whatever you do goes back to you, like whatever comes around goes around. So if you're like being mean, karma's gonna hit you back and someone else is gonna be mean to you. And then I think this story really teaches people that. So yeah, that's what I think. And the story is really interesting. I enjoyed reading it. That's it for me and Tar's podcast, guys. Thanks for
See you guys in
watching.
next time.
Goodbye.